Man, I've never had beer like this before. That honestly, you don't get any side effect from it. It's so crisp and clean. And we're sitting there and they're all just messing around doing whatever they were doing. And we look at each other at the same time and we're like, we can do this. Like, I can sell this. I can turn this around. We can find people. We can do whatever we need to do.
Burgers, tacos, pizza. Oh my! Season 7 of the No Dishes podcast is here. Once again, brought to you by Visit Bloomington. Check them out at visitbloomington.com. Especially if you live in Bloomington, you'll find out about all this cool stuff going on around town that you had no idea about. Also, please support our other advertisers on this episode. The best way to show us some love is to show them some love. You already know what I'm going to say. Play that theme song.
Hey, say, honey, let's go out to eat. Relieve our culinary duties. With all these restaurants to sweep us off our feet, they're bound to turn us into foodies. No dishes, no dishes, no dishes. We'll have a bottle of wine, relax and have a good time. No dishes, no dishes.
All right, we are here with Metal Works Brewing Company. They used to be Function, then Metal Works Brewing under another owner, and now they are Metal Works Brewing Company, the newest ownership. We have them here today, owner Adam Sulinski and Executive Chef Jason Tait. Fellas, thank you for being here.
Hey, appreciate you for having us, man.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for a bit. We're made it happen. We're here. We're sitting down. We're recording. Let's talk about, first off, Adam, why you decided to purchase Metal Works, and then just, was it a calling to you? Had you always wanted to open a brewery? Walk us through that process.
Absolutely not. It was not a first forward thing at all. I was in the liquor store industry for a long time. Did that in and out. Took stores. I went from nothing to as far up as I could get them. And man, you just can't get any more out of it. It's like you just, no offense to it, but it's just, there's a huge plateau and you just can't get over that. And so for about 15 years, that's what I did. Before that, I didn't do much, odd end jobs here and there, but being in the liquor industry that's my calling by far. Whenever I got out of that, I just decided I was burnt. I just couldn't do anymore, man. It wasn't there. And to be honest, I thought that I was going to get away from liquor, going to get away from booze altogether. Yeah, that was not a smart idea. I went to UPS actually, which great company to be honest.
Yeah, well, I feel like in the more recent years, it's almost gone viral. Like, wait, they make how much?
Yeah. And see, that's the whole point. So my aspect was, what could I do that'll carry me for the rest of my life?
Right.
And going through UPS, I was on the brink of putting in another store in Bloomington, and it was boring. It was completely boring. There was nothing in it for me at all. Nothing grabbed my attention. And luckily, they let me back out of it, which was good. It's the first thing in my life that I ever backed away from, that I did not even put a chance into. So at that point, honestly, my mind went just blank. I didn't know what I wanted. I honestly sat around for a couple months thinking, looking, and all of a sudden one day, I'm honestly Googling, like, what businesses in town are for sale?
Yeah.
And lots of bad stuff, nothing I really wanted to do. And then I came across this one, and it had no info. All it said was brewery. Brewery for sale. And it was like, real low amount for it, whatever. And I was like, man, this can't even be anything good. Well, me and my lady were talking. I was like, you know what? It's got to be that one place we drive by all the time where no one's ever there.
Yeah.
It's this huge place right off the square. Huge potential, but no one's ever there. About a month or so in, the guy came back and he said, well, I've got someone interested, so I can't give you any info, but if you want to be interested, I'll put you on the list. I don't think there was a list. I think it was just me and whoever the other guy was.
Right, yeah.
The second he backed out, I get a call. So he sends me the info. I get it. And I look into it and I was like, yep, that's it. It's that empty place. I don't think so. And she's real supportive of me. And she said, let's just go check it out. Let's see what it's all about. We've been trying to get in there. We've been trying to do it. So we go there. It was dead. Nobody was there. They had like 4 employees working for some reason. No clue. They were rude. All of them were rude as hell.
Wow.
But the food was fire.
Yeah.
The beer was even better. The beer itself, man, I've never had beer like this before. That honestly, you don't get any side effect from it. It's so crisp and clean. And we're sitting there and they're all just messing around doing whatever they were doing. And we look at each other at the same time and we're like, we can do this. Like, I can sell this. I can turn this around. We can find people. We can do whatever we need to do. I was like, but we got to get good food, good brewer. Because, I mean, the food was good, but it was just straight bar food.
So room for improvement.
Oh, man. You while sitting there, and this just shows how good the beer and the food was sitting there, was that fruit flies were like coming into my beer and stuff like that. And I was like, hey, man, can you get it? He's like, I don't care. It's not my place. I was like, no, man, just give me a half. I already drank half of it. Just give me the half.
I'm not looking for free stuff.
No,
just some insect-free beverage.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. And even at that, man, it was like, you could tell that the beer is a little old, but it still had this great flavor to it.
Huh.
And so at that point, I was like, all right, I'll hit them up. I'll figure out who this is. Sadly, come to find out, it was the Endeavor Group.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't know anything about these guys at all.
So you knew nothing about Endeavor before you were...
No.
Okay. Interesting.
Because for me, I mean, the hospitality stuff, never did it. I mean, it's not anything. Just not my gig, you know? And for them, I guess for me, I'm glad that I didn't know. Because if I did know, then I probably wouldn't have touched it at all. Because all the negativity that people have given about them, most of it's true. Some of it's not. A lot of it's hearsay. Who knows? But I would have been turned off by the whole thing. So I was swooed by Mr. Ross to that everything was perfect. This place was great. There's no skeletons in the closet. There's nothing bad about this place. And it didn't matter to me. I mean, I saw it, I tasted it, and then I knew I could sell it. So once I found out that the brewer had also quit 3 months prior, that day when I was told that, because I was like, man, you've not showed me a brewer. You've not connected me. And this was 2-3 months that he didn't even show me anything. Didn't tell me. He's like, oh, I'll connect you.
So a long process.
Oh, yeah. So I found him myself.
Huh.
And when I found him, instantly he's like, nope, I don't want anything to do with it. And I was like, well, just come down and talk to me, man. I was like, I'm not any involvement with these guys.
Yeah, brand new.
The second I said that, he said, I'll be there in 15 minutes.
You're like, it's not like a partial ownership. It's completely changing hands.
100%.
And so your brewer now is that guy. It's John Poor?
Patrick.
Patrick, okay.
Yes. And he was the brewer for Metal Works. He's brewed at home for himself for a long time. He's a ex-state cop. Some people like that. Some people don't. To be honest, I love the group of people that he brings around. And you think of state cop, whatever. I mean, he's the most laid back guy ever, man.
Yeah, I've met him a couple times. Real chill. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's about brewing beer, and he does awesome at it, man. And everything about the beer it's his life. I mean, you could tell that's what he wants to do. This is what he's wanted to do his whole life. So with him, he told me, he said, I'm not going to commit to you, but if you're serious about this, if you buy this, then I'll come for a week and we'll see how it goes. It's like, all right. So a little bit of time went on. We kind of finalized everything, cleaned it up a little bit, and sure shit, man, he showed up. I mean, he showed up day one, an hour early, which I was already there.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And man, we went straight to work that day. And at the time, I think there was maybe 3-4 beers in there, which we're up to like 15 or so now.
Wow.
But it was him that made the vision start. And it just, all these bad things that started to come out didn't matter. I mean, it was mainly just because of that. So for me, it became a challenge. It was a huge challenge for me that I just saw. And then, I mean, we can get into this in a little bit too, because he's part of this of like, you know, we had all these breweries that closing, like Switchyard just closed. Mm-hmm. And it's like, man, we can't have another one close. I didn't even know if this one really existed, but this town used to be flourished with breweries that, I mean, it's a part of Bloomington culture, I feel.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't let it go, man. I just couldn't, and I didn't care what the challenge was going to be in the future, and I still don't. I mean, it's still challenges here and there, but man, it's the best choice I've probably made ever in my life.
So how long has it been now that you've had it?
Almost a year. We took over at the end of January of this year.
What was your plan if John left after a week?
I was going to sell it.
All right, cool. Yeah, I like it. I was like, that's bold.
Yeah.
To just be like, yeah, okay, we'll take you on the 1 week, and I'm that confident you'll enjoy working with me. You know?
And that's the biggest thing, because I mean, a lot of these brewers around, being in the industry, I had people from Terre Haute, I had people from here in town. They're like, man, I'll come help you. I'll do this with you. I'll get everything going with you. But you don't make that beer. So that's the reason, is the taste of that beer I've never tasted anywhere else. I mean,
so part of the reason, or the main reason you bought it, is you're like, I can sell this.
Yes.
I don't want to necessarily own a brewery, but because it already has this delicious beer that I have not had beer like before, that's why I'm buying it.
Absolutely.
And that's connected directly to John.
Oh yeah, directly to John. And I've been down there with him a little bit trying to brew some stuff, and it's going to be a long process for me to learn things like that. But that's the whole point, is that he's crafted this whole way that he does beer. And I know that all these people in town some say that they're the cleanest beer in town or this. I mean, we all have clean beer. We all boil it. We all do the same process. But for us, he makes the beer be the exact same every time. It's consistent, and he's the biggest clean freak I know. And to be honest, when I go into a place that has any type of beer taps, 9 times out of 10, I'll automatically buy a bottle, because people don't clean their lines.
Right.
They don't clean all kinds of stuff, the taps, everything. He does all of it himself. I mean, he makes sure that everything is completely clean, and he does it twice over every time. So, and I think that's the main part of it, is that, dirty glasses, dirty beer lines, that makes people sick.
Yeah.
And I don't taste it. I don't smell it. You don't have any of that stuff with us at all.
Well, see, and if you're going to put in all that work into creating such a great, crisp, clean beer, the last thing you want to do is rely on someone else to clean the lines.
100%.
So it makes so much sense. And I'm sure he already has a lot on his plate, but just I think it shows how much he cares that he's going to take on that one extra task, at least one, on top of everything else he has going on, to make sure that what he's trying to get across the consumer comes across how he intended it.
Oh, 100%. And that's just from day one, like I said, our connection that we had told me, I trust this man, he trusts me, and neither of us are that type of person to quickly jump on trust like that with people.
Right.
But it was just there, and honestly, it's been there since day one, and me and him have been 100% solid. We haven't had anything, I mean, that is negative between us. I mean, there's times where I'll say, maybe tweak this, and he's like, oh yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
Same thing, vice versa. He'll say things to me, and it's just, we're both leaders that have always done everything ourselves, but man, we play off of each other so hard that it's just an amazing team by far, and I love it, man.
Well, and it sounds like neither of you have too big of an ego to not take constructive criticism.
No,
that's huge.
Yeah, and maybe if maybe it was like 20 years ago, possibly, but
yeah, you're like, we're older, we're past that.
Yeah.
So I know initially when you bought it, you had a different executive chef, but you brought Jason on more recently.
Yeah.
What was that process? Why'd you settle on Jason, and how long has that been?
Oh, how long have you been with us, Jason?
Just been a couple months, I think.
Couple months. The biggest thing with us going into it was, everyone said clean house, clean everyone out. And again, for me, not being in hospitality, would not have been a good choice to have done that. So I did keep our chef that was there. I think he'd only been there for a few months, maybe close to a year, something like that. I give him a lot of credit. I mean, he did help build our menu to the point of where it was at. But there was just a lot of negativity. One thing that I didn't realize in hospitality is that there's a lot of just anger. Like, man.
Yeah.
And honestly, once I saw it, it didn't make sense to me. But then I started asking, my waiters and waitresses, and they're like, oh yeah, this is everywhere. You go to any kitchen and head chef is just a jerk.
Yeah.
They're assholes. They yell at you. They do. And I'm like, well, not here.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's stupid.
We're not doing that. I mean, that's not something that I'm all about.
We've
period.
been going through interviews for like an assistant GM at our Bloomington store. And then one of the things I've said is like, hey, we want to have a standard, but we want to have fun. And like, this isn't a place where we raise our voice or like, that's not the culture we have.
Yep.
But I even mentioned, a lot of restaurants, that is the culture where it's the back house, front of house, servers, everyone's out for themselves because they're trying to make their money.
Yeah.
They're not working as a team, helping each other out. It's all about their money. And the back
Absolutely.
of house is grizzled old vets that they've been through the ringer and they're just like, they're just pissed off at life every day. It's like someone came in 25 minutes before close and then they're throwing stuff around. And
Exactly.
you're like, guys, we're still open. Like,
Man, that's money.
Yes, exactly. Like this is so you still have a job. The company still makes some money. Anyway, Jason, what was it that appealed to you about the position when you saw the opening?
So at that point, I was just, wanting to get back to my passions. I had switched around a little bit. So like you said before, I was one of the cooks at Switchard. Like I helped revamp the whole menu once we were King Dough and everything. We broke away from King Dough, took a couple weeks and redid the whole menu and everything. That's kind of where I was for a while. Got into something else where I went to Culver's for a little while, get some more management training and that kind of stuff. And it's like helping out that family, the Kowskis, great family here in town, and doing all that. And it's like met my fiance there, so it's like
Nice.
it was a great segue there, But so it's like I was missing one key aspect, and that was the passion that I have for cooking, and I wanted to get back into where I had some kind of control over the menu. I had something where I could create, present, and teach others to help get what I want out.
Yeah, be able to express yourself. Yeah, chains have a lot of great things about them, but ideas are nothing. They have people, they're paying however much for ideas. They don't typically want ideas from people at the store level.
Well, the Culver's, though, man, I'll tell you, that's one of the huge things for me because, if anyone's ever been to Culver's, it's the nicest place to go ever.
Yeah.
I don't care. They're the sweetest people from back to front, always. And once he mentioned that, too, again, Jackie and I, my wife, we sat there and both met him, both talked to him, and it was like we just kept tapping each other on the leg, which one tap's good, two taps bad, never got any two taps. It was all just one. But the one of the Culver's was the hard push, and that's what she gave me. And I was like, oh yeah, I know, because. And I think for him, I think that was probably one of the best things that could have happened for him to show him that exactly the leadership, because it's night and day between what I had before and now. Like I don't worry at night. I don't worry during the day. I don't worry, period. Anything that he's doing is so straight on, man.
That's great. Yeah, the Skowskis are fantastic. So as far as local franchise owners go, lucked out. Yeah. For sure. And I do love their fish sandwich. Yeah. It's solid. It's really good. That's one of the hidden gems. I haven't tried
fresh battered fried to order.
There it is. See, that's it. It's no secret. They I think it was only out for a real limited time. I hope I haven't ran out of time to get their curder burger, where they make like a patty of a cheese curd.
Usually
it started out as they released it and it was an April Fool's Day thing.
Yeah.
But then so many people clamored for it. They're like, okay. And then apparently it's just really good. So it's just one of their cheese curds thin, just on top of a butter burger.
Yep, it's the regular deluxe. They don't put the cheese on it. You get the fried curd or cheese curd on it. Usually comes out for National Cheese Curd Day, which was October 15th. So you might still be in luck and getting out there and getting it.
I love it. I was going to say, I knew it was only a couple weeks or something. There it is. Garrett pulled it up. Look at that.
Oh, yeah, man. That was
God.
Oh, yeah.
This is how easy I get sidetracked on here.
I'll tell you, though.
As soon as we start talking food.
That right there, just looking at that, the way that is in cheese, it's kind of like what we've done with other things. It's like we took some things that we already had and pulled off ingredients and threw others on there that just the look of that alone is, oh man, it's phenomenal. But look at that. Look at the cheese coming out of that.
Oozing out. Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, that's great. And honestly, you take something like that and you throw that on a sandwich, just changing it up, man. We pulled stuff off, took cabbage off a sandwich and threw onion rings on there.
It made a world of difference.
Oh, man, it just melts in your mouth.
Yeah.
It's
you guys have great food. I know you talked about it. You went in and it was already good, which is great. So you had to be sitting there okay, this beer's great, this food's great. Mm-hmm. Why is nobody in here?
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing.
That's when you kind of found out, because of their reputation with other places, that's why it was empty, or was there any other contributing factors?
I think the cleanliness factor too. We opened for that first weekend, and then in the first 2 hours of just going through, because this is a weird transition, man. I went from Ross's lawyer's office straight in with the key, and no one was told that I had bought this place. Nobody. So when I walked in with the key, there was 3 people in there who are you? And so I didn't have time to do anything, and I had to jump straight in and get everything just directly going. Huh. And so ultimately, the place was filthy. Head to toe. It was just disgusting. So we were there for the first weekend, and we closed for the first 2 to 3 weeks just to clean.
Wow.
All my family, my friends came in and helped. We were there man, we were there probably 20 hours a day for 2 to 3 weeks cleaning this place. And now it stays clean. And I think that was a huge factor too. Because I think that, you know, a lot of people, they know Endeavor. And I've gotten a lot of backlash of, you know, people thinking that we're still with them. But the next thing in line is the cleanliness. Is that, again, like I said, whenever I went in there, I had more than one fruit fly going in my beer. So it just all the keys, there was no one there to run it. Even though there was a GM that was standing there that didn't care about anything. I mean, no one was there to physically watch this place at all. And then just the attitude. I mean, I think that was one of the biggest things is that, and that goes with the other chef too, is that, you know, he was probably one of the last ones of the original to have let go, but it's mainly because I had more faith in him. I thought that we could do more things together, and it just didn't match up right. And so once that last like chunk of the chain was gone, people just started flowing even more, and they were just, and no one was disrespectful. No one said anything bad against them, and it was all respectful. But at the same time, the vibe was, man, you guys are nice. You're family friendly. We love this place. We can come. We can bring our kids. We can bring our grandparents. Doesn't matter what we do. Is the whole change of everything. So I think it was a full circle of just taking one place and just flipping it upside down and then putting some effort into it.
Yeah, changing the culture. I mean, people want to see people have fun. They want to be around other people having fun.
Absolutely.
They can tell if the server comes to their table and they just came from a toxic back of house.
Yep.
They can sense that. So that's interesting. And it just takes one to really just spread amongst everyone.
Yeah.
We've had that in the past at the Moose, addition by subtraction.
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
You just like everything's great, and then you just have that one person that's constantly negative, and it's just like, and you try to give chance after chance, and eventually you're like, okay. And then when you look back, you're like, oh, thank God we don't have that like every day where you're just like, oh, they're coming in here in an hour. They're going to be negative. They're going to be bringing everybody down. Like, we're having a great day. We want to just keep this going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, why is it that hard? You know, the amount of times we've like banged our head against the wall. Like, why can't we all just have fun and just do our jobs?
Yeah, I don't understand, but I mean, teach your own. Some people you just can't change, you can't help. And I think that's part of my personality too, is, you know, seeing the good or the better in certain people and thinking that, well, it can work out, but it only goes so far. So
how much are you paying for your restaurant's business insurance? What's affordable for your needs? What does your agent do for you that isn't just policy writing? Tony Brown with First Insurance Group has a keen eye for the policies all restaurant owners and operators would love to have. Tony provides risk management and other HR resources free of charge as your agent. Tony has no waiting period for loss of business coverage starting from day one, minute one, unlike other carriers' 72-hour waiting period. Tony has no audit for liquor liability and general liability, saving you time so you can focus on running your restaurant. And Tony's insurance carrier is the preferred vendor of choice for the Indiana Restaurant and Lodging Association. Call or text Tony Brown with First Insurance Group today, 812-327-2321. Set up a free review of your current policy and see how Tony can help you protect your largest investment, your business. 812-327-2321. I know you said that, you know, they had developed a great menu, built a lot, and you've still built off of that. What were some of the menu items you had that maybe you had the opportunity to tweak or change or add since you've taken over in the last couple of months?
So I say a lot of it's one of the things we've been focused on is the sauces lately. It's like a lot of the sauces, you know, beforehand were, you know, right out of the bottle or anything. We've kind of adapted that to going pretty much fresh made sauces in-house. So it's like being able to get that fresh taste, that clean taste, that kind of like we was talking about the beer. It's like you want to be able to taste the sauces for what they are. And that's one of the things that sets us apart. You know, I've created probably 5 or 6 different sauces. We've tweaked a little bit here or there. We've adjusted some flatbreads. We've just created a new one last week that we're putting on the menu too. So it's going to be that Caesar salad for people on a pizza.
Sounds fantastic.
Yeah. We've sold what, 5 or 6 of those already, not even been on the menu, just by telling people.
Word of mouth.
Oh,
yeah. Off menu. We were going to do a whole segment when I first started this podcast. It was going to be getting people in, coming off a shift, like, here's a shot and a beer, how was work? But then we realized that was going to be a very negative podcast, and that would get real boring real quick. But one of the things we wanted to ask people was like, hey, you work somewhere for so long. You know, I've worked in restaurants since I was 15. Every restaurant I've worked in, you get burnt out on the menu pretty quick.
Oh, yeah.
And then so you start coming up with your own custom thing. So it's like, what's the custom thing you make yourself using those menu ingredients, but it's not on the menu.
Exactly.
Do you guys have one of those for yourselves at Metal Works? You're like, oh, this is like the Adam special. It's not on there, but it's what you make yourself.
We don't have necessarily names of things, but there's a handful of different flats that like there's a chicken parm flat that just hasn't made it, but it continues to get made for people.
That sounds great. Okay.
And it's we just recently got had the women's basketball team come in and get some food from us, and so we're thinking about it's kind of wild because you would think, you know, they're working out all day long, they're playing ball, they're probably going to want something light. Hell no. These ladies, they know how to eat. And so
they're burning crazy calories too.
Insane.
That's the nice part is they can just smash and they don't have to worry about it.
So we're going to try to do stuff like that too. Maybe like get with some of the girls and see if we can make some meals out of them, some specialty type stuff, that things that they like and want to tweak, and trying to just get the name of just, you know, people like that out there that people recognize and people know. And then once we can kind of get that rolling, exactly, just do something for him, maybe do something for me, do something for John, get everyone's names out there to where it's, you know, have that person come in and be like, I want that John burger, or I want that John whatever.
Well, and it just adds to the familiarity of them feeling they're part of the staff, the family, the culture. You know, I know Quaff on Big Woods back in the day did a year or two ago did a Malik Renault burger.
Yes.
You know, so do something like that with the women's basketball team. That'd be awesome. Get them some credit. Garrett pulled up the menu, which I know shows that pretzel is massive. You bring it out on this hanging thing. I can't tell you enough. No, if you want to watch the eyes in a dining room turn, go to Metal Works and just wait. You don't have to wait long. Wait until a pretzel comes out. I mean, order one for yourself, but you'll see one come out anyway. Every single time I've been there, you watch one come out and everyone's just like, oh.
And once you do one, 3 or 4 more orders come in.
Same thing with us with banana splits.
Yes.
No one orders a banana split, and then one person orders one, and he yelled out, they see it, they're like, oh. They forget it's a thing. Yeah, that's so funny.
And it's wild because the pretzel itself, you're exactly right. It's huge. Comes on that hook. It's got our beer cheese that comes with it. And that was the only thing that we had at first that was kind of like, you know what? It brought out more to have people come. And so since that's what we started thinking about. I was like, let's just go big with everything that we can.
Yeah.
And so now we have sandwiches that come out that someone's like, oh man, what is that? Let me see. I want that. Whatever he had.
Oh yeah.
All the way down to the cookies. He does a cookie skillet that man, this thing, once one hits out, it's done. And
game over.
Thanks to you guys. I was gonna say, we got your ice cream on top, and man, it's putting your name on anything is golden. So
we've got. I need to talk to you. We just rolled out like 4 fall flavors.
Nice.
See if one of those makes sense with one of the cookies you're doing.
Absolutely. We have a chocolate chip cookie skillet. We do a peanut butter, and then for this season, we brought out a pumpkin snickerdoodle cookie skillet.
God, those all sound phenomenal. So we have our pumpkin ice cream. We brought in pumpkin ice cream. Brought in a cream cheese icing you can put on top to make it like a pumpkin roll.
Yes.
And then we did a maple chai cookie with like pieces of sugar cookie, maple and chai flavors. That one's really bold. I actually had someone, David Storm, shout out, he runs the Grant Street Inn. He went by like the night we announced them, tried all 4, and he said, I thought this would be my least favorite, and it ended up being my favorite, the maple chai, because it just has such a strong, bold, and it tastes like fall.
Absolutely.
You know? Then we did a s'mores and a caramel apple bun.
Nice.
So I'll let your wheels turn on what pairs.
Absolutely.
You're the chef.
I can already see it. It's already.
Absolutely. And then you guys have phenomenal wings too. I think you guys could probably speak to those better than I can. I just know as a consumer they're great. Is there anything you do that you feel sets them apart from other people?
That's this guy.
Yeah.
It's like, one, getting that good quality product to start with as the base, but the sauces that we put on them too. Is like we put a lot of care into those sauces. Having a great sauce, that's what I feel with our wings sets us apart from any other place. Everyone in town has wings. It's the sauces that really match up. We have a honey sriracha. That's one of my favorites. I know Kelsey's and yours, I think, is too. I just created a Jamaican jerk sauce. That's going to be coming onto the menu for one that wants a little bit hotter. And then we have a great teriyaki tasting sauce. And
I think the fact of what he said too is the searching for good product. And I feel that, and this was across the board, I feel, with almost all the food. I switched vendors right out the gate. I had the weird thing was that both big vendors in town were old beer reps. So I knew both of them, and they both came at me at the same time. But one of them actually sat with me and gave me things and did things with me, where another did not. I mean, he was just there to just mess around and be like, "Hey, what's up? What's whatever in the past." But I was gung ho moving forward. So I'd say almost everything that was on the menu was literally the cheapest that you can buy.
Right.
The cheapest product of everything. And so I went in it with the mindset of, if you're going to make good food, the same margin goes across the board. We don't gouge anything. It's the same all the way across the board. So ultimately, you find something good, you create it, and people will buy it. I mean, they're going to take that over junk anyway. So our wings in specific, I mean, there's probably 60 different wings that you can buy, and we've ran through probably 40 of them just to try to see what they're like. But to me, that's what it's about. And it goes back to, I didn't know much about the hospitality stuff, but to me, it's just common sense. It's, if you want good food, you got to buy good food.
You get what you pay for.
100%.
Absolutely.
And there's some stuff out there that's super expensive that it's trash.
Right. Yeah.
But that on top of trying to keep some local ingredients too, and growing stuff at home of some greens and things like that, just anything that we can keep fresh and in from this town as well is just amazing. But the wings by far, I've not found anyone else, I don't think, that kind of hits up next to us. I mean, I like different wings in town, I think that certain ones are, but I think the bang for the buck to get the meat off the bone, I mean, find a bigger one.
Okay.
Take the challenge.
Gauntlet hit. That was your chance right there. That's the one to talk to that killer. Gauntlet has been thrown. I haven't had them in a while. Actually, I don't think I've had them since you've taken over. So I need to go in and try them out here again.
Yeah,
soon.
they're really good.
But I remember even in the past, they were solid.
Yeah.
I was talking with McKinley, who owns the Sinkhole.
Yeah.
He started a Philly cheesesteak food truck. And his whole thing was, I'm going to do it right. We're cutting these fries. We're just doing real like ribeye, bringing in Cheese Whiz, doing it traditional, doing it right. And I was like, man, everything was great. Those probably are the best seasoned up, just regular salt fries I've ever had. They were phenomenal. But I was like, that bread just wasn't quite it yet. Yeah. And then he went ahead and switched from like a 35-cent a roll bread to $1 a cent roll, or $1, a roll. And he was just like, and I tried. I was like, dude, it just makes all the difference.
100%.
And it's just like those little changes. It's like, yeah, it sucks when you're like, man, 3 times the cost. That's insane. But then you can just adjust your prices accordingly.
100%.
And people are happy to pay for quality.
Yeah, our brioche, and for instance, is that there's so many across the board that are in the same like price range. Like you're saying that they're like 30 cent, whatever, like per bun. And ours is not. I mean, ours is more, and it withholds the entire process of making, which people think, oh, it's just a bun, you just throw stuff on it. No, you got to butter it, you got to grill it, you got to put it through a process that's not necessarily the most gentle process, but a lot of them don't stand up to it, and that's the biggest thing. If you can't make it to the end of that sandwich without it all crisping apart and falling, then it's not for us. I mean, it just no one wants that. Whenever you're putting the stuff like that on our sandwiches and you're stacking them high, I mean, you need something to hold it well. And the same goes with our regular bread too. I mean, it's solid, man. I mean, it's a little more expensive, but everybody loves it. I mean, I think that's one thing that we have definitely not ever had anything on bad, is just that the bread's great. And I think that's the start of it. You got to start from the outside and work your way in.
Yeah, and you guys are paying. I mean, you're doing your $18, your $16. But again, you're getting what you pay for. You're getting high quality ingredients.
Oh yeah.
And it's a good sized portion on all of our sandwiches too. Like,
oh yeah.
So if you guys could have one menu item and one beer like together, what is it?
Ooh.
Like for you personally.
probably one I go to most is our cheesy flat. It's one of the last ones I made. So just our flatbread, put a little garlic and olive oil on as a base. It'll get caramelized onions that we caramelized in-house, bacon, it'll get the cheddar cheese, and then the goat cheese on top, bake it off, cut it up, and then it gets the balsamic drizzle on top of that.
Oh, God, dude, that sounds... Goat cheese and balsamic together. I swear, like, you just can't go wrong.
It hits every flavor there, and it's just... You sit down like, oh, I'm going to eat half. By the time you need to realize it, the whole thing's gone.
Yeah, garlic... Ooh, okay. Those are, and what beer are you pairing with that?
That one, I mean, will go great with any. I think right now, probably the New England IPA is probably one of my go-tos.
Okay.
Oh, I already know. And I'm going to get in trouble by the wife on this one because I shouldn't be eating as much bread and things like that. But, man, the club sandwich. That club it's amazing. And that's a sandwich that we did have from before, but we have completely gutted this thing out and redone it. We've redone the style that the meat is cut. We've redone the style of pretty much, this is the other one, too, that for whatever reason, I mean, and I had a guy the other day tell me, he said, it's not a traditional club. I was like, exactly. I mean, why would it be?
It's the MW club.
Exactly, man. So this thing here, it had cabbage on it and things like that. To me, when I think club, I think meat. I mean, meat and nothing green. that's my style of club.
Yeah.
And so that's why we took the cabbage off, threw the onion rings on that one too. It's just, it doesn't matter. Like what he said, you start the sandwich and it's huge. And by the time that you get halfway through, your body's telling you that you're done, but your mouth does not care. You just have to keep going. It just keeps going. And for the beer wise, I mean, right now, the Oktoberfest for me, man, that thing goes with everything. It is just so solid. And it's one of the best, if not the best Oktoberfest that I've ever tasted, period.
Wow. Okay.
And before that, my best was Spaten's.
Yeah, that's a great one.
And this one, man, I think it trumps it by far.
All right. Better, Metal Works Brewing Oktoberfest is better than Spaten's.
Yeah.
That's
That's bold, I know.
All right. Hey, that's fine. You're going to back it up. I'm here for it.
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit more about the beer offerings. We haven't touched on them too much. Obviously, John's not here. We only do 2 guests at a time.
Yeah.
But yeah, can you just walk me through some of your guys' beer menus and offering?
Yeah, going just straight from the top to the bottom. I mean, basically what our goal is to, one, we don't go super high on alcohol. We want you to hang out with us. We don't want you having one beer and falling down as you're walking out the place. I know that there's places like that, but we like that like 7% as the most that we like to go. And so that's something that John does too, is it's all in the way you brew. It's all in the things that you do. And he makes sure that he keeps the alcohol down. For instance, our pumpkin, I mean, there's a lot of sugar, a lot of stuff in that. So he was having a little bit of problem with the alcohol content, but he took the extra time and drew it back down, which brought the more flavor into it.
Nice.
But a lot of places go, straight IPAs. You walk in there and there's 13 IPAs and 1 blonde. Yeah, I get it. Some people like that, but at the same time for us, we try to do about a half and half. So if you come in and you don't like beer right out the gate, we put those right there for you. You've got blonde, cream, and our Heffy, which I put that Heffy up against just about anyone's, if anyone even has one in town. There's maybe 2 others that I've found, but super solid, man, crisp. And you taste every single flavor that goes into it, all the way down to the banana, which is exactly what it's supposed to taste like.
Oh, yeah.
That's how it's supposed to be. And you tell people that don't know, like the banana's real hint in it, and you can taste it like banana. Just try it.
Yeah.
And as soon as they do, they love it. Then continuing going through all of our IPAs, starting with our pale. It's a nice, easy drinker. I mean, you can drink this thing every day, summer, winter, it doesn't matter. Our American IPA is extremely solid. It's by far, I'd say, the American and the New England are the 2 that just are out there that are flavorful. You really can't beat them. And anyone that comes in that sees it, everyone goes for the New England anyway because they see it and they're like, oh, it's 6.8. That's your highest alcohol.
Right. You're more bang for my buck.
100%. And I get it. But then in continuing, a lot of places don't do like the nut browns and the porters and the stouts all year long. But we've had success because of the way that he does it. He changes them up throughout the year. So whenever it's summertime, he makes those darker beers a little bit lighter. He puts a little bit of different touch on them that it makes it easier to drink. And so we have people that will literally drink porter and stout all year long that don't usually do it, but ours are so good. And then right now our seasonals, I mean, we have 4 fall seasonals.
Wow.
I think that his seasonal game is crazy. And when I first started with him, we had a blueberry beer on tap, which is coming back here pretty soon. He wasn't into flavors, but that was what he was being pushed to do. He wasn't allowed to be creative. He wasn't allowed to do anything. Whenever I say flavors, some people instantly think, oh, it's like wussy beer or whatever it is. No, these are straight ales and if not lagers that are really, really good tasting beers. And he's just fresh everything. So we're not using fake products. We're not using anything like that. You say it's blueberry, it smells and tastes like blueberry. The taste is way better than what the smell is. And that's hard to do on a lot of different things like that.
Your kids will have a blast at Constellation Stage and Screen's upcoming musical, The True Story of the 3 Little Pigs, on stage October 25th through November 10th at the Waldron Arts Center. There are 2 sides to every story, and when the big bad wolf takes the stand in Pigsylvania's trial of the century, he finally gets his say. Enter the jury box and help decide the fate of the big bad wolf in this musical adaptation of the hit children's book. See The True Story of the 3 Little Pigs on stage October 25th through November 10th in downtown Bloomington. Find tickets at cconstellation.org.
Then getting down into those seasonals again, like that pumpkin, I mean, there's a very small crowd for pumpkin beer, and we're about out of it.
Damn. All right. Yeah.
I mean, it's right up there with our Oktoberfest. We put a little rim of sugar and some cinnamon in with it on the top, and it just looks beautiful too. I mean, you dip that, you pour it, and then it just has some drips down it. And it's not just a ladies' beer. I mean, men drink it too. I've had men that come back and that bring their 1 liter growlers in and fill them up with the pumpkin. I mean, they love it. It's great.
I mean, back in my drinking days, pumpkin was always approachable for anybody. I'm like, pumpkin beer, hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I've always loved pumpkin.
Absolutely.
And I think putting that stuff into the season and getting it. The summertime, we did a mango wheat that, again, we went to a couple different festivals, and the first one we went to, it was crazy because we were the only one that had it. The second one we went to, every single brewery that was there did a flavored wheat. But our mango killed every one of them.
Really? Wow.
Every single one of them. And it's just all about the naturalness, and it's putting out that fresh fruit into it too. So we just have beer all the time to cater to everyone. We do other things like wines and some ciders here and there, but it's just beer's what we do, and doing it right all year long and having a list that we can rotate like this is pretty phenomenal, to be honest.
I feel like you got the 3 things down. Yeah, for what you guys are doing: good beer, good food, good people, like good vibes. And if you've got that, everything else will work out.
100%.
If you just focus on a good product, beer and food wise, and then your people are having fun and they're treated with respect and like working there, genuinely like working there, and everything else falls into place.
Absolutely. That's why I tell everyone that. I can't remember who told me this. I think it was maybe the original chef. He said, no matter what, in a week, you're always going to have one down day. So you work your great days and then accept the down days, so to say. And of course, just like everyone else, we have that. But at the same time, our biggest thing is we know, and this is what I tell everyone, is that it's the trust, is that we have everything, we've done everything we need to do, and it's now continue to do that and gain the trust from everyone to show that we're not messing around. We're here to stay, and we're here to help, and we want to provide to the community. We want to be a place that you can come at any point, no matter if students are in or not. And this is shown true fact all the way through this whole first year now, that people are afraid because students are around, but they're not afraid to come to us because they know that that's not our crowd. We do have students that come in. I'm not saying that we don't, but
yeah, you're going to being right there.
But we're not rowdy.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing either.
Yeah, we're not anything like that. And it's pretty crazy to see that grow and to see that we're gaining the trust in the locals. And man, we have so many traveling people. It is unreal how many people a week we get that literally come into town and find us. They look at what we have online. They see what we have. They look at our social media, and they instantly call us and make a reservation. And it's just gaining the trust of everyone, and it's just going to continue to grow. So
yeah, I mean, you guys have a great location. I mean, that location's phenomenal.
Yeah,
and Function was much beloved,
yes,
and
100%.
With good reason. Steve and Arlen, they did incredible food, incredible beer, and it was, obviously Endeavor came in at a time where it was a good out for them. And that seemed to be the case with a lot of places that Endeavor bought, and where no one forced anyone to sell.
No,
so 100%. It's like it was a good deal for a lot of people to just, okay, we're out.
That's the positive that I give to Endeavor, and not being an outsider that didn't know them, is that if it wasn't for them, most of these places wouldn't be here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm torn. I've had so many friends that have worked there. I try to not only see the negative, but be like, hey, there's still some good here, or at least good intentions. Yeah. The execution of those is debatable. But did 100%. You have, when you took over, did you have any action items of, this is how we are going to make sure people know it's new ownership, this is how we're going to separate ourselves from past negativity or past, preconceived notions of what Metal Works is?
Basically, I kind of just let everyone come to me in a way. When we joined the chamber, which is a great thing, they've helped us out a lot too, put our name out there. It was actually, even their idea, and they weren't looking to be negative towards them at all, but they said, this is something that you should do. This is some good advice for you, that you need to branch out and make sure that people know that this is you. So we changed the face front. There was no lights, there was no anything. We moved everything around. We got a lot of different things out of there, and so we changed it up enough to where the branding's great. It's everything about it is good. There was no reason to change it because I felt that even though it didn't have a good name, it didn't have any growth either. So
and it hadn't been around long enough to not still be able to be changed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so in doing that, we just continued as people would come, and just like what I just said now is that being the outsider, it's been, I guess, better for me just to see less of the negative and see the one positive, which is the one thing that I always continue to tell people is that, you know, someone can come to me and say the worst things about Endeavor, and my response is, if it wasn't for them purchasing this place, then I wouldn't be here and you wouldn't be here. And I'm not saying anything. I'm not discrediting everyone that's had any bad vibes or bad workmanship or anything that's happened because of them, because I have some friends that have been treated bad that I didn't even know that that's who they worked for. And come to find out, it's like, man, it makes sense now and I see it. But at the same time, it's like you wouldn't have even had your job if they wouldn't have came through and did what they did. Past that, the execution was just, there was none on any of these places. So I think the biggest thing, to be honest, is that if they wouldn't have ran out of money, then I think things would have gone south for so many of these different restaurants. I think that they would have continued to tank. But I think what happened was they got a little bit too big for the britches, and they had to start dumping stuff. I mean,
scaled down quick.
100%. And
Metal
they
Works, Cabello, Southern Stone.
Yeah.
I think now
Chop.
now I think it's just Hoosier Hanks and Allery. I think they still have Allery.
And Hoosier Hanks, I mean, cool place. I like it. I liked it whenever it was Avers too. But I think something, and especially even like Hoosier Hanks, and I see this around other places, all the time I get people be like, look who's doing this and look who's doing that. It's like things that we're doing or things that we just did. And it doesn't surprise me that they copy a lot of the same things, but the way I see it is good for you guys. It makes me feel good because it shows me that we're doing the right thing.
And you're ahead of the game.
100%.
We had that when bingo first started being a thing. We started at the old Yogis, then we're doing sports and KOK, and you start to see other ones pop up. And you're like, okay, now bar bingo is like huge.
Yeah.
There's so many different people doing it. I'm like, man, we've been doing that since 2016.
Exactly.
Come on. But no, yeah, again, it's imitation is the highest form of flattery.
100%.
You know, so you're just like, yeah, we're killing it. Great. Good for them. And maybe, I think Hoosier Hanks is doing better than what I had in the past. So I think scaling down probably helps.
100%.
You really can just focus on one or two cores and make those the best they can be.
And I know that he put a good person in there to take care of Hoosier Hanks too.
Okay,
so
nice.
Yeah, she is amazing. She actually came from Southern Stone. She's a friend of my daughter's that actually they live together.
Oh wow.
And they she is phenomenal. She's worked for me a couple times too.
Awesome.
She's a great person, and I think that was one of the main things with him as well, with Ross, was that he just chose the wrong people as well. He paid people, and he paid people really well to do these jobs, but it was like he chose like Hank down here that digs ditches to come run a restaurant.
Right,
you can't do that.
Or like when, they had Sadie, but Sadie was spread so thin.
Oh, man.
She was doing it for years, but like I can't, and I think fairly highly of my ability to run some things, but like, I can imagine trying to tackle 8 places, or stay on top of all that. It's impossible.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. They just ran too thin and just didn't have the support to back it up. So I'm surprised that it lasted as long as what it did.
Well, hey, you're in good hands now. That's all that matters. Season 5 of the No Dishes podcast is brought to you by VisitBloomington.com. VisitBloomington.com is the best resource for restaurant and culinary information, special events, fun activities, places to stay, and more in our area. We share a similar mission here on the No Dishes podcast of highlighting local businesses and the people who make our community unique. We can't thank them enough for hopping on board. Check them out at visitbloomington.com to easily plan your next meal, visit, or night out on the town. We touched a little bit about some of your liquor background, some of yours at Switchyard Pizza Kitchen. Let's go way back to the beginning, get to know you guys a little bit more personally. Jason, can you tell us kind of where you're from and take us all the way back to the beginning?
So, Indiana born, Wabash is born and raised, so Wabash, Indiana is about 3 hours north, about halfway between Fort Wayne and Kokomo. Grew up there, graduated high school there, and, started looking at a smaller town, was looking, what can I get to, what's my next step to go? I was like, had some friends down here, and, they talked me into moving down one night. So I was like, I ended up moving down here in 2011.
Okay. So just a couple years after me. Yeah, there you go.
So I was like, moved down here. It's like, I have pretty much been down here since, moved here and there a little bit, but, started out jumping around different fields, trying to figure out what I really wanted. I was in psych care for Bloomington Meadows Hospital for a little while. Was there about 6 years. Loved that. Got my EMT certification while I was there. Kind of did that for a little while.
Wow, and honestly, 6 years working at Meadows is very impressive.
Yeah,
that's like shout out to you. That's the fact that you loved it and enjoyed it. I mean, you probably had a genuine opportunity to help people,
and that's the biggest part of that was that being able to help people. And then from there is had some buddies that we were homebrewing with, Jeff and Kurz, and that is what ended up turning into Switchard at one point. So it was doing the home brewing there and then going through that whole process with those two was a, big step as well. I started doing culinary school at that time because that was one of my big passions. Went to Ivy Tech here in town, worked under some great chefs there and learned a lot. Did my dual associates there. So I have baking and pastry and culinary arts. And then started working for Chef Darren at IU, right out of Ivy Tech when I started there because, he was pulling people over to help with there. Worked for him in his traveler concept there, which was a different country every day of the week.
Yeah, Bookmark Eatery, right? Yeah, because they had the traveler concept come in when we were part of Crema Dolce. There was a gelato and then us. And they had Nixon or Scholars Inn.
Scholars Inn
there. Yeah. Okay, cool. I had no idea you were part of that.
Yep. Cool. And then they opened up the Good Body as well, where they had the Nix
was in there, and
we had you guys there as well.
Yeah, we were all over, and then COVID hit, man. We still have our one in the IMU, and we're still in some places, but man, we had just really had a major footprint on the IU campus between Good Body, Bookmark Eatery, the IMU, every C-store, and then COVID, man.
It was right about COVID that I ended up leaving IU just because they were downsizing there. And went back to Switchard where I took over full time as the kitchen manager there. We changed up. We were running King Dough for a little while, and we switched up that and did the pizza kitchen there, and just kind of started creating my own sauces, own flavors, and stuff there. And,
the pizza there was always phenomenal too. I mean, it was great. I love King Dough. I haven't talked to Adam and Alicia in forever, but they had started at Food Truck Friday with an old trailer of an old truck, and I loved their brick and mortar. Their product was always really good, and then the Switchard pizza was always fantastic. It was always the sauce tasted fresh and vibrant, and the breadsticks were really good as well. So it's not surprising to me that you were behind that.
Yeah, breadsticks came from the seasoning that we blended together to go on that. Buttered the top, hit the seasoning on it, baked them just perfect. And then you had to have a good quality cheese to go with that breadstick.
Yeah, absolutely. And then so you ended up leaving Switchard at some point?
Yep. Went over to Culver's where, like I said, I ended up meeting my fiance. So we're getting married in May. So that's
congratulations.
A big step. Thank you. So I was worked there for a little while. And then John and his family asked me to help out with the Seymour store. So I moved over to Brownstown for a little while and helped out with the Seymour store. And that's when I got to the point I was like, I need to get back to my passion. So I started applying online, looking for stuff, and found the perfect spot right now.
I love it. That's sweet, man. That was such a great, concise, but not too short. Hey, here's where I'm at. Here's where I'm from. Here's what I've done. That was solid. Adam, how about yourself, man?
Oh, my road was a little bit rockier.
It wasn't that smooth.
No, mine was not smooth. My parents split up before I was born, if I recall. I was born in Vincennes.
Okay,
lived there for a couple of years. Then moved up to the Bedford area. That's where my grandparents were. They all came, my mom, everyone, dad, they all came from Massachusetts. And my grandparents were the first ones that came to Indiana.
Huh.
And so they moved to Bedford. And then for most of the part of the real young part, my grandparents raised me. And then my mom kind of took back over. She ended up becoming a nurse, and I had two brothers. Ultimately, it was never just solid. I mean, there was just never anything there. She had a few different guys here and there that came, and then she settled on one, which I'm assuming she's still with now. We really don't have any connection. There's a lot of bad blood there to where I've got family, I have kids, and it's just not the type of people to be around.
Yeah.
And there's no reason even going into any of that to even give them any type of recognition. But my real dad, and the crazy thing that he was in Brownstown, because I've never heard anyone else about Brownstown.
Yeah.
My freshman year, lots of stuff happened. My mom was like, I don't want you anymore, basically. So I hadn't seen my dad, my real dad, in about 7-8 years.
Wow.
But he took me in, and wasn't the best thing because I raised myself for my whole high school. He was never around, was never there. Sadly, he's passed away now. I started to get a little bit of a relationship before he passed. It was kind of nice. But my grandparents, everyone, all the people that raised me are gone now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So ultimately, like I said, from high school, I mean, if I wanted to eat, man, I had to work. I had to do it myself. I had to do everything. I had to pay for my books, had to pay for everything, got myself through high school. Didn't have the best guidance at all. So ultimately ended up having a child like fresh out of high school. Love her to death. She's now in IUPUI. Well, now it's split, but she's going to college, man. She's awesome. She's great. Going for nursing.
Oh yeah.
And it ultimately got right there at that point was, my crazy childhood of doing whatever I had to do to get by turned into now you got to be an adult. Like you're taking care of somebody else. So my life completely just flipped, man. It went from, doing whatever it took to finding real jobs and doing things like that to whatever I had to do. I was never in trouble or anything like that, but it was a struggle for sure. And then it went from trades. I thought, if I'm going to do this, I can't get in through school. I can't do that. I'm going to do trades. So I started welding. I started, got a CDL, started driving dump trucks, things like that. And again, like I said, I was in the Brownstown area, but it just wasn't my home. Like, going back a little bit after the Bedford, that's whenever we moved to the Bloomington area. So from the time that I was really in I'd say kindergarten, first grade on, I lived in Bloomington until I moved away for high school. So nothing was ever the same. And I remember growing up here, and even though it was kind of rough, it was still home. Yeah. So when I got to the point in my life to where I was successful and I knew that I could do pretty much whatever I wanted, I actually was still working in Brownstown. I got 2 jobs here in Bloomington, and I did that for about a month to transfer over. And my whole life, I've never not worked. I mean, I've had a job, and I've always gotten another job before I had a different one.
Right.
So actually, I moved back to Bloomington, and I linked back up with my middle brother, which was working at a liquor store. This guy, man, he's awesome too. He lives in Chicago now. Same childhood he grew up with as well, and he did the same exact thing. He went to school though, and bettered himself a lot. And so ultimately I trusted him. He was someone that I knew for a fact that if he's telling me come here, then I'll be all right. So I went there to this liquor store, and didn't really want to do it. I was working at Cook at the time, which I thought, good career job. I can do something with this.
Yeah, work yourself up.
But it was boring. I mean, it's not my style.
Yeah.
So the liquor store, man, I was doing every other Saturday evening. And that within 2 months, I had the owner at the time ask me, do you want to manage this place? Because there were 2 stores, the one in Ellisville and the one in Spencer. And I was like, hell yeah, I do, man. It was kind of bittersweet. My brother was moving out, was going to Chicago, and he was ultimately the manager. So before he left, it turned into where we flipped roles, and it was a little weird that I kind of became his boss, but we never had any problems with that.
Probably helped that he knew it was only for so long.
100%. And he's been, even though we don't see each other that much, I mean, he's been supportive of me of every single step that I've gone. So getting into the stores, like I said, I've been there for about 2 months. About the 6-month mark, the owner at the time said, I don't even need to be here. So he ended up moving to Mexico for the next 15 years. And in this process, I bought the properties, both stores. My plan was, this is going to be me. I'll buy everything out. Started getting to the business side, started running all of that, bought into some of that. And then it just got to the point, like I said earlier, it was a plateau. It just, I felt great. I gave tons of people jobs. I met so many people, did so many great connections, but I just wasn't enough. And I felt restricted in a way to where, having that partner, it just wasn't the right one either. He ended up coming back and kind of brought some of his family into it, things like that. And it was already going down. It just wasn't something that I wanted to do anymore. And so I kind of set up a predecessor there, a guy that worked with me the whole time, and he's pretty solid there now, because that's kind of like how I am. Again, I'm not going to leave a place stranded. So I sold everything out, completely sold out. And at that point, when I was in the process of doing that, is whenever I met my wife. She was very supportive. She saw when we first met, which we actually met at the Bird.
Oh, nice. There you go.
It was hair bangers.
Of course, I could have guessed.
I'm telling you. And honestly, neither one of us were looking for anything. She had gotten a divorce about a year or two ago, I believe, and she was just out supporting her sister for her birthday type thing.
Yeah.
I was doing the same thing. My buddy had a birthday, was out with him. We met each other, and it just meshed pretty well. We have blended family, no kids together, but she supported me the entire time. So no matter what aspect, I've always had different types of things. I've done lawn businesses, paving business, concrete business, just about any type of trade you could think of, tree trimming, and it just never was there. So ultimately, going through my entire life of just having to do basically what everyone else was pushing me to do and making me to do got me to where I am right now. And that's, I think, the ultimate reason why I got into this brewery was because this is 100%, my choice of what I can put forward and what I want to put forward. And I've got two great people like Jason and John that literally, I couldn't ask for better people to be in this triangle with me, man. I mean, it's not something I can do by myself. It's a learning process by far. And to me, it's the best learning process I've had. And so for me, my biggest thing is just giving my family, my kids, things that I didn't have. And basically that's been my whole goal my whole life is just get out of that struggle and get to somewhere. And I'm not looking for anything to be, wealthy, rich, anything like that. And if anyone knows, you're not going to get that way in restaurant and breweries. I mean, you're going to put a lot of stuff into it, a lot of work, a lot of money. But what it does is my kids work for me. My family's always there to help. And this is something that we can all do together. And it's definitely the number one goal that I didn't know it was going to be it, but it's the life goal that I always wanted for sure.
Yeah, what a cool story, man. Thanks for sharing.
Okay.
That's like, I feel like that's when anyone, especially if you grow up in struggle, you want to, what can I do to make things at least comfortable? Not rich, not wealthy, but just comfortable.
Yeah. No schooling, no nothing.
Yeah, you're not just like fighting every day to eat. Better business, better community. For over a century, the Greater Bloomington Chamber of Commerce has been a cornerstone of business growth and community development. They are dedicated to helping local businesses thrive. Their business is all about your business. Join the Chamber today. Call 812-336-6381 or visit chamberbloomington.org to learn more. Well, you're killing it. From what I could tell, I mean, from outside looking in, I'm sure you almost have a year under your belt. Has there been any big surprises you weren't expecting?
Outside of every vendor that was owed money? No, not really. I kind of went through everything. Outside of that and the animosity of the kitchen stuff, I mean, changing the dynamic of a restaurant, I think has been the biggest challenge, and it's worked out well. And explaining to everyone how we do things like that, it's all accepted. I mean, it's all open arms, and it is different. Like we just do different things, and it all comes to the whole picture of everyone just being in there together, and we all take care of each other, and that's kind of just the whole picture, the whole thing that we like to do.
So you got John brewing, you got Jason taking care of back of house. So you focus on front of house a lot?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So I had a GM when I first started. Great guy. It was good. I think it lasted about a month.
Okay.
Two reasons. One, the animosity thing. I mean, I was getting calls on like the end of night where just things weren't happening well, and I'd have to come in at like 1 o'clock in the morning trying to figure out what's going on and why people are fighting each other and things like that. And it just wasn't the right person. And for him, he had just came from Nick's, I believe. He redid like all their POS stuff. So
nice, yeah.
So he did that for me. He actually came in and redid a lot of my POS that I knew nothing about, which now I'm like a master in.
Yeah, yeah. Once you start getting POS stuff down, it's fun actually. It sucks. They're called POS for a reason.
Yep.
But once you start getting them down, you're like, they're all the same.
But that is the whole point, is that if you're going to do something like this, you can't just give it to someone else to do, especially to start out, man. You got to build it fully. And we're a long ways away from being at that place to be, you know, where I'm going to say, hey, I push this off to you to take care of this, mainly because the vision's still growing. I mean, we're not even a quarter of the way where we want to be, I feel. And it's not due to anything except for time and getting that trust from people. So having him be there and help in the beginning was great, but I mean, putting myself in 100% is what it takes for sure. And that's how the liquor stores were too. I mean, anytime that, well, now that I think about it, the 15 years or so that I worked there, I think I took off 4 days.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of how that goes. But finding those things here too, I mean, having the ability to trust these guys, and I've already, I mean, been able to go and do things and enjoy my family, and also still be there and just kind of be the whole of everything. They have all their own ideas, they have all their own craft, and it's just certain things might need tweaked here and there, and certain things might just need that. But it's a weird but great dynamic that we all have that I've never had that at any place, to where not just one, but two people that I can literally trust and not have to worry about.
That's so good. That's job security.
Yeah.
That's like, anytime the owner can take a break and they trust you, like, okay, you're good.
Yeah, exactly.
So what is the grand vision? What do you guys see Metal Works working towards?
Well, we got a few things coming up now, but I think our biggest, everyone asks, you going to start distributing beer? You want to, I don't. I want to do whatever we can with ourselves. Try to maybe link up with a few more people in town that we can kind of bounce things off, pair things together. The main thing, I think our vision is ultimately continuing to grow. And as we continue to grow, I would like to see maybe another place in town, maybe getting to another side of town, so to say. You know, being downtown is a culture of itself. But I think my biggest challenge right now in my head is, if I can get this thing and this works here, how nice would it be to say on the east side or on the west side or the north side or any side? And
they're all unique in their own right. South side,
100%.
There's a need, honestly, for kind of all of them. We've looked at it from the ice cream standpoint. Like
100%.
You could put ice cream here. You could do a brewery there. It makes sense as a natural progression, because once you get into retail, it's a whole nother ball game. Even Upland, they found that they make the best business decision for them is opening new restaurants that then distribute their beer.
Yeah.
And they've been open for a long time and put a lot of money. And so, if they're going by that model, maybe that's a good model.
Yeah. And I think that's a big thing too, is if anyone's familiar with, Function, Metal Works, the building itself, we have the smallest brew system in town. And you'll never, ever know that whenever you come try the beer and you see what we have and how much we have. But all the other brewers come and they give John shit all the time and like, I don't know how you brew in that basement.
Oh, it's adorable.
But that's the next big goal too, is maybe in the next couple of years to look for, maybe do some just off-site brewing, or find a place that we could even move. I mean, I'm not giving up where we're at now. I mean, that's our number one. That's going to be the flagship no matter what. It's always going to be there. But I think eventually we'd like to get a little bit bigger. And obviously, if we're going to open up one or two more places down the road, we're going to have to brew a lot more beer.
Right.
So in doing that, whether it be, somewhere else in town that does that and a tap house or whatever it may be, regardless, I think eventually here, probably in a couple of years, we're definitely going to have to move out of that basement.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I could see it. Hell yeah, man. That'd be sweet. I'm looking forward to it. I know you mentioned, being good community partners, and then also just partnering with people in the community, with our ice cream and on the cookies. What are other ways that you guys in the year that, 2 months or year that you've kind of made sure that Metal Works is part of the community?
So one of the biggest things that from Function that people wanted was, vegan stuff, gluten-free, things like that. My wife is gluten-free. She doesn't have celiacs, but I mean, it definitely hits her hard if she eats certain things like that. And one of the things that there's not many options in town, for gluten-free.
Yeah.
So one of the best people in town right now, which is about the same time that we opened, was Brightside. Mm-hmm. These guys, that's all they do is gluten-free stuff.
So good. Everything they touch is gold.
Oh man, it's crazy what they come up with.
Yeah.
And they literally will create whatever you want. And if they can't, they'll do it until they can. So the vision of them, and they helped us out a lot on just, putting some stuff out there and trying different things. And I think continuing to have those options of gluten-free stuff. And then we started, Jason is a master chef, man. The vegan world I knew and still don't know too much about. But I'm not even going to speak on it. I'm going to let him, because he's actually the winner of a couple things from the Vegan Challenge.
The Bloomington Town Planner is a community calendar owned and published by local residents John and Sharon Martin. Mailed out to Bloomington homes in December of each year, it features school schedules and community events. And don't forget the coupons at the bottom of the calendar. They'll save you money and help you decide on the next restaurant or retailer to check out here in the Bloomington area. Town Planner also has an online calendar, which can be found at townplanner.com. Make sure to sign up for their weekly e-newsletter so you can stay on top of all the fun events going on around town.
When we first got in there, we started doing the vegan challenge. It's like, if I'm going to do something, create a couple new dishes, I wanted something that, isn't necessarily, was vegan just by looking at it. It's like, I don't want to do the fake meat or anything. So I did a lentil vegan loaf as a sandwich, put it on our Texas toast, which was a vegan toast, a little barbecue sauce on it. And it was basically a barbecue loaf sandwich that we got great reviews for. That was one of our winners for that. The other, I did a curried cauliflower vegan soup, was our soup that went with it. And, served as a side to that, but it also went by itself. It's a great tasting soup. You got that nice roasted cauliflower, the curries, the flavoring was all blended well together. We still have the soup every day at Metal Works. We're going to be bringing the loaf sandwich back, so that way we can get that back on as a normal menu item. But it's just been one of those things. It was fun to work with, to create and, get into that. And is a challenge trying to figure out, okay, normally what I would use eggs or butter or something for, coming up with that alternative and still making it have that flavor.
And it's become that I've noticed that, there is a large group out there that they come in and they're very grateful. And it's not that our whole menu's vegan by any means, because it's not, but he continues to make these things that he changes recipes around so that you can't even tell that it is. But when these people do come in and that's what they're looking for, we have multiple options. And the same on the gluten-free side. There's different things. We'll work with just about anyone to create whatever we can. And then outside of that, moving forward, we've got, for instance, we've got in the next, I think it's this week, the trick or treat stuff. Try to do as much as we can. So like me and my little one are going to be out handing out candy and stuff out front, and like have people coming around, and it's just knowing all of our neighbors, knowing everybody. I mean, hell, even Amaret right next to us, I couldn't tell you anyone's names, but at the same time, like if I needed anything, I can walk over there and get it. Same for them. They can come to me. They can do it.
Hey, I need some ones or
100%,
whatever. Yeah,
man.
you name it.
But across the street, everybody, I think that there's just, it's kind of a tight-knit family too, to where the brewers and things like that, we share stuff back and forth. That it's cool to know that we're at least accepted in that part as well. And these people, they don't have to help us. They don't have to come for anything. They don't have to do anything, but we all kind of support each other and then just do whatever we can to make things as better as we can. And, we're
sharing to the customers. I can't tell you how many times we've seen someone go over to the comic book shop, vintage comics next door, and they'll stop in and have a beer while they're looking at their comic books.
And I'll tell you too, I mean, everyone knows that. I mean, there's an issue in town with like homeless people and things like that. And they could become a nuisance, or you could be nice to them and not necessarily shove them out everywhere. Like our patio, they don't bother anyone. They'll come out there, maybe regroup their stuff, do whatever they need to do. No one's like scaring them away, doing anything like that. It's just, we're all people. We're all here together, and it doesn't matter that they may or may not come in for business or anything, but at the same time, there's no reason to do anything negative in that aspect. And I feel that whenever it first started, I came in every morning to a cup of piss on the stairs, like every single day. And we don't get that stuff anymore. We get more respect from even those people that come through, that they're not going to do that to our business. They don't disregard stuff to us anymore. And it's just being nice. It's just doing anything that we can. And outside of that, all these local places, I try to get out as much as I can to, especially the new ones, because I know that with the Chamber, again, they brought a lot of people to us. I mean, they brought a lot, and it meant a lot to me. So I try to give back as much as I can, and I feel that that's one of the biggest things is going around to them and trying to show the support to as many local places as I can, and then just letting them know whenever I'm there, like, yeah, it kind of comes with probably just an empty response, because most people times whenever you tell them, if you need anything, let me know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's always there. I mean, we're here to help anyone do anything for anybody.
Yeah, eventually it'll come up. Eventually
100%.
it comes up where you're like, hey, I need that. I need something. Can you help me?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know when they did the ribbon cutting, and then Stacy on her own personal one was like, Metal Works. They were all the ambassadors were just, it was like 2 straight weeks where I swear everyone I knew with the chamber was like hyping up Metal Works. I was like, hey, it worked. That's great. So what are some of the places you guys like to go try in town, or go eat yourselves? Show some love to some of the other breweries or restaurants in town that you guys enjoy.
I like all the breweries, to be honest. I think that just about any of them give what you expect, so to say. They all have their own niche, their own little thing going on. Even all the way down to like Heartworks. I think people give them some slack because they don't have a kitchen, but they're doing their own thing, man. They have their own stuff. They're continuing to grow, and every day I see them doing more and more. And I think that's awesome for them. I think being able to again get into the community and stuff. But I also, to be honest, coming from the liquor industry, I tend to base places off of drinks as well. It's not just the food. So I love places like I like the Spoon for brunch, man. I mean, things like that. Just places that I can come park my vehicle and then just kind of walk to. But I tend to stay away from chains, mostly just because business we're in, we're all in our own craft type thing. If I do go to some, it's usually because of the kids or something like that.
Right.
But I mean, you can't deprive a kid from McDonald's. I mean, kids love
You're
Happy
gonna get
Meals.
it once in a while. I've kind of found myself organically doing like an 80-20.
Yeah.
Where I'm like 80% local when I eat out, about 20. It just happened that way. I didn't set out for that, but it's just, I was like, it seems about right. About 4-1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like you said, Heartworks is, meeting up with a group of friends. There's an easy place to go to. Obviously, hitting the tap, the alley bar, kind of hit the local spots is definitely always a thing that the group of us does. Me and my fiance love going to Casa Brava, supporting those guys over there. So it's like, in any of the places down on 4th Street when I'm, wanting to get something a little bit, something different,
So many good options.
Man, I'll tell you too, another one that I was actually surprised with that came into town for one is Brew Burger.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And being a chain, that is the one chain that the kids love. They absolutely love going there. But it's not a regular chain, I don't feel. I feel whenever you go in there, they're nice.
Yeah. It's an Indiana chain. So
yes.
it's not a national brand.
Yeah.
CRG, Cunningham Restaurant Group out of Indy. I think they maybe have 30 or 40 restaurants, something like that.
Which we hit Cunningham usually all across the state because, it's always going to be good.
The Eagle's fantastic. Bakersfield, it's been forever since I've been there, but it's good.
Yep.
I think they have, Vita and Mesh and all these other ones. But I always liked Brew Burger on Mass Ave. Is the one. I'd never been to the one in Carmel, just Mass Ave a few times, and I just loved their ketchup.
Yep.
I remember the ketchup more than anything.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, just doing house-made sauces.
That's what
Making
it's about.
ketchup in-house, and it sets you apart. But yeah, I went over Brew Burger 2 or 3 times when they first opened. Haven't been back since. I need to.
Yeah.
But everything was good. And so I'm glad you shouted them out. We haven't talked about Brew Burger too much on there. Well, you guys are doing great stuff. I'm so glad you guys took the time to come on. As I've said with a lot of guests, we've talked about it for a while, and then we finally make it happen. A lot of work goes into booking these.
Yes, it does.
A lot of persistence.
Yes.
Hey, when are you coming on?
Yeah.
You guys not so much, but some people are like, I don't want to be on camera. I'm like, it won't be that bad, I promise. But yeah, thank you guys so much. I love to see Metal Works doing well. The fact that you were just like, hey, we are keeping this name and we're going to make it our own. I think it's something to be admired. I, for one, admire it, respect it, and just love what you guys are doing. And it seems like you're doing everything for the right reasons and are just trying to do it to the best of your ability. So
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for everything you're doing, and thanks for taking the time to come on, guys.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Absolutely. Thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much.
Cheers. There you go. You can't laugh, Carrot. All right, here we go. There you go, little fella. Oh, what another great episode. Thanks so much to Season 7 presenting sponsor, Visit Bloomington. Check them out. Visit Bloomington.com. As always, keep those hands dry. This episode of the No Dishes Podcast was recorded, edited, and produced by Garrett Portinga of Green Hat Media in beautiful downtown Bloomington, Indiana.
No Dishes Media.
No Dishes Media.